that second impact syndrome has a 50% fatality rate in teens and young adults under the age of 21. Second impact syndrome is rapid swelling of the brain caused by 2 or more concussions. One concussion does not usually have lasting effects. However, multiple, 2 or more, can have lifelong consequences, up to and including death. I'm here at the hospital with Dr. Avery Jeffers. He's an internal medicine physician with extensive experience working with Marines who have had head injuries, and recently, local athletes who have had similar injuries, though from a very different cause.
What happens in the brain during a head injury or concussion?
A lot of it has to do with injuries to the neurons. So it's an axonal injury, which means kind of the long portions of the nerve fibers there. The impact creates waves going through the brain. So like any sort of transfer of energy. But these waves can shear the axons in there, so the neurons, and so they can cause injury to them. Any sort of injury in your body, whether that be to a nerve or a regular skin tissue or something like that, is going to have an inflammatory response to heal it. So your body's immune system, the body's reparative process, all of that starts in action. The head injuries are very similar to any sort of soft tissue injury in that they are repairing the injury with an inflammatory process.
Can you tell us what things we should look for if we think we or someone we know might have a concussion?
Yeah, one of the greatest telltale signs of a concussion is amnesia around the incident. People are not going to remember it occurring. So whether you're struck in the head and you can't remember, immediately before, just within seconds of the incident. So usually it's not minutes or anything. It's just within seconds that people can't remember. The other things that people are going to notice is dizziness, so fogginess, so they're not thinking as clearly or quickly. Maybe possibly nausea or vomiting, or just unsteadiness and unable to focus their gaze on any particular object.
Can you tell us more about second impact syndrome?
Yeah, the second impact syndrome seems to be a kind of the severe end of the spectrum for recurrent head injuries. So head injuries that are occurring soon after a previous head injury. So while that body's inflammatory processes are ongoing, the body will have an outsized response to the reparative process of the second injury. This seems to occur mostly in young persons. Most of our documented cases are occurring in people under 20 years of age. The mortality for second impact syndrome is about 50%. Morbidity, which means the long-term debilitating consequences, in this case, cognitive deficits, is about 100%. We can see a whole spectrum of cognitive disorders, from increased depression, increased early onset of dementia, just decreased cognition. So these are all types of things that really heavily need to be considered, in that whereas there's the rare severe end of death, there is the much more common frequency of cognitive deficits on the spectrum.
I'm here at the trainer's office at the high school with athletic trainer David Allred. I understand that you perform a pretest on every high school athlete before they can participate in any sports. Tell us briefly what you do and why.
So the testing that we do for the baseline is the impact test. It's a neurocognitive computerized test, and what it does is it allows us to get a baseline on each athlete, and then we can use that baseline if they have a concussion in the year, where we can compare them to them and not compare them to some random person on the street.
What happens when an athlete sustains a head injury?
After they sustain a concussion, what we like to do within 24 to 48 hours is get them in again and rerun the impact test on it, so we can just see a number and kind of see where they are in comparison to other people. And then we use that test, and we'll keep on, as their symptoms get better, we'll retake them through that neurocognitive test and make sure that they reach their baseline before we return them to play. How
do you usually treat a concussion?
With a concussion, it's tricky because not every concussion is the same. There are things that we will do that's kind of general. One is we'll take them out of competition. We don't want them to have contact again. And then there's some things that we'll work on that will help them progress. One thing that literature shows is taking omega-3 fatty acids, which is found in your fish oil. That can help with the brain recovery. The other thing that we do is we try to let you have as much of a normal life as possible. That's kind of changed from past years where we just sat you in a dark room. But if you can do activities of daily life and be able to function with that, then we try doing that.
My friend Gina is a mother of an athlete who experienced multiple head injuries from sports and is a lucky survivor.
When Tyler suffered his concussion, we immediately decided to take him home. When we pulled him off of the field, he was doing okay, but by the time we got home, he was stuttering. It was something that was really difficult as a parent to watch. To see him cry for unknown reasons was really difficult. He would be perfectly fine and all of a sudden he would just start to cry. His stuttering was really severe. He actually stuttered for 3 months. Since then, if he gets under a lot of stress or anxiety, he continues to stutter. He missed 5 months of school. We had to homeschool him and try to get him through his freshman year out of our home. It was hard to deal with the issues that he had with not being able to concentrate, with not being able to be on the computer, so he had to do a lot of reading, and even reading was difficult for him. He had to listen to the books on tape for his school assignments, and he couldn't participate in a lot of things because when he got overstimulated, his headaches would get really severe. It was hard for us to know what to do for him. We took him into many doctors and tried to get him the help that we needed, but ultimately we ended up just having him be put on medication and try to rest his brain as much as he possibly could. It was hard for me as a mom to watch him struggle. A young man who was outstanding, had so much confidence, and did so well in the sport of soccer that he absolutely loved. To watch him struggle and to have to learn what a new normal was for him was very difficult. As parents, we tried to be very supportive of him and try to talk him through and help him to be able to learn who the new him was. You probably are wondering if Tyler ever played soccer again. He hasn't. It wasn't worth it. Although it's something that has been very strong in our family, we're a big soccer family, it's not worth it. It's not something that we're willing to risk Tyler's future. It's something that he will deal with for the rest of his life, with anxiety, with depression, and with the stuttering. But he's made the choice that's best for him. He's done what's best for him, and he knows that he shouldn't do the sport anymore.
I'm here at the soccer field with my good friend Tyler. We have been friends since we were young, growing up in his mom's daycare and preschool. Tyler has always been very smart, eloquent, and athletic. He's especially good at soccer. So good, in fact, that he was a starter on varsity as a freshman. Listen carefully to Tyler's story.
Hi, this is the soccer field where I came and had my second concussion. That concussion changed me for the rest of my life. I've never been quite the same ever since. This concussion caused me to go into several different stages of depression and anxiety, and it's caused me to stutter for 3 months non-stop, and then I went 2.5 months going on and off with the stuttering. I have to be on medication just because of this one incident that I made. I went too far and I made a mistake. My parents were on the other side of the field and they heard my head hit the ground. So if that gives you a little idea of how hard I hit. But I don't think it'll ever be the same. Anytime I go into an anxious state or I get a little depressed, my stutter will come back. And personally, I don't think it'll ever go away. I've been to many doctors throughout Utah, and none of them have quite been able to give me a real diagnosis, a real straight answer to what's going on here.
What do you want every parent and athlete to know?
Don't ignore concussions. Don't ignore the symptoms. And when you believe you have a concussion, or if you believe your child has a concussion, the best treatment is to avoid the second impact.
to realize that concussions are a serious matter, and as you've learned, it's not just the concussion itself that really is the problem, but it's that risk if you get hit again when you're not fully recovered that you have a chance of getting that second impact syndrome, especially in the high school situation.
Take your child's concussion seriously. No sport or concussion is worth your child's life or future.
No. I just hope that you guys won't make the same mistake I did. I had 2 concussions in 6 months. I should have been taking it easy. So please, 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 I beg you, do not go too far. Just take it easy.